He ain't big, but that is a start. Little guy there, but they're all fun, right? Hey everybody, welcome into this week's episode of Tony's Spot on Fishing. I'm your host, Tony Krizek. You know, it's the first show of the year, weird weather throughout Chicagoland all spring long. Why would today be any different? We've gone from the 80s down to a high of about 48, 50 degrees right now, more rain forecasted. We're going to show you all the tips, tricks, and techniques, how you can catch fish still bouncing around some retention ponds, even with all this crazy weather. That's all this week on Tony's Spot on Fishing. Not a bad one at all. Chunky. That's how we like them. So as I said, we're definitely fishing in some weird conditions, you know. Storms, all these fronts coming through. Every time we turn around, it seems it's raining. It's kind of like living in Seattle almost. But tell you what, it really hasn't hurt the fishing that bad. We've had some issues up north on the chain. Flooding, going to no wake. And come on, I need that hook back, buddy. But the chain's been flooded, no wake. The river systems are all flooded and washed out. Nice little chunky guy. And really, we're kind of limited in what we can fish. So there's ways, though, we can still get our fix if we're not wanting to take the boats out and do these big trips with all these storms that we have forecasted. And that's these neighborhood retention ponds. I'll tell you, they hold some big fish. They hold a lot of numbers of fish. And right now, most of the fish have pretty much spawned out. There may still be a couple on beds. We kind of tend to leave those fish alone because we want them to help keep the systems going out here. But these post spawners, and there's still probably some pre-spawners, and we're going to show you right now the best way you can catch these fish on these ponds during these conditions. So what we're actually throwing here, because we do want to go with more of a finesse presentation, but we still want some action to really get noticed. And one of the best baits that does both of that for us is from Bass Pro Shops. It's called the Bullhog, and it's got two twisty tail legs and two flapper arms as well. Creates a lot of undulation in the water, has a nice slow fall to it. We rig it up on a 4/0 EWG hook with a free sliding 3/16 weight. If you're facing a little more wind and current, you can go up to a 1/4 ounce. If you're in a little less, you can even go down to an 1/8, but that 3/16 seems to be a good all-around size. Watermelon Magic, like I'm throwing, the General, and Bluegill are always been the best colors on these ponds. And of course, if you've ever watched a show, you know I gotta put a little chartreuse, get my spiked garlic scented marker just on the tips of those little tails. Just give us a little extra color, a little contrasting color, and a little scent of garlic to it as well. And that really seems to help get a few more bites to it. But the name of the game is working slow, but still want some action. Now you could also try working a swim jig super slow, a chatterbait super slow, crawling it, even a swim bait. But for me, I love fishing that bullhog in conditions like this. It gives us the action we're looking for, and it'll really put a lot of fish up on your day, going around, bouncing around. And even if you're able to get out for a couple hours with the boats, guys that are still fighting the chain at no wake, or you know, heading up, Wisconsin's open now, Lake Geneva, baits like this is what we're looking to throw right now in this period. Boy, you are not that big, but you are sure giving me a tussle right here. Get out of them weeds. Get out of them weeds. Another nice chunky fish. Yeah, as these fish are moving around, feeding here and there, what we have is basically a nice weed flat, deeper weed flat, not a bad little guy. And these fish will actually kind of move out under conditions like this. And anywhere where you're going to see, if you're going around and you see any kind of rock coming out, a rock point, a rock anything as you're walking around, focus on that, as the rock will actually help hold the heat during these cold conditions, the cold rain, the cold wind blowing through the lakes, cooling water temps. So anywhere you have rock shorelines, rock coming out into the lake, and then of course some deeper vegetation like a secondary flat, that's where these fish are hitting or sitting, and they're hitting a bullhog. I honestly thought this was going to be about a 4-pounder the way this one hit. I mean, it is a little better, but my goodness. Another one on the bullhog here. Let me show you just exactly how we're actually fishing the bullhog too, because you can play around with a couple different methods. You know, you could drag them, but really what I like to do, let me get this reset here, is we cast it out. We're going to let it set to the bottom. Now, the secondary deeper weed flat that we're fishing in adjacent to this rock and the shallow weed line, it's about 6 foot deep or so. And these are the areas, like I say, you want to look for. Once it gets down there, we're going to just really give it some good pauses in between lifts and drops. We're going to watch the line and feel for it. And a lot of times what I'll do, when I lift up, I'll keep that rod tip a little tension on the line. This way I can feel if anything grabs it on the fall. They will hit this bait as well when it's just sitting on the bottom dead sticking. That's exactly what that last fish did, which was really surprising. He picked it up and was off to the races. A lot of times on that fall, you'll get that good solid thunk, but usually if they're picking it up off the bottom, they may peck this bait a couple times. You'll feel, and you almost think it's a bluegill playing with it. Peck, peck, peck. But really, that's the fish. That's a bass grabbing it. And then he'll pick it up, start running. Once that line starts moving, that's when we can reel down and set the hook on these fish. But definitely integrate some decent pauses with the weather being like it is, and that water temp would warm up here and then it would drop back down. So it's really kind of messed with them. We can see nothing but empty beds. The spawn's pretty much over here. We don't have to worry about too much. There's a small male here and there guarding a couple of them, but pretty much everything is done here. And that's what we're going to start seeing in a lot of these ponds. And it's really a bad time for a cold front to settle in. Oh, mercy. Another jumper. Oh my goodness, look at this. Okay. Anybody who talks about catch and release not working. So we just pulled that out. Look what's in his mouth. There's a looks like a wacky rigged Cinco. More than likely someone broke off. Find some pliers here, see if we can help this guy out at all. At least get the worm out for him. Yeah, he was just hooked deep in the top of the mouth. We're able to get that out for him, but somebody was out here, maybe a little lighter line or something of that nature, but ended up breaking that fish off. Fish was just hooked deeper into the roof of the mouth. Still had a wacky rigged Seiko stuck in his roof of his mouth, and he is still eating. I mean, there's the proof. Catch and release does work. Thankfully, I was able to get that hook out for him. The hook would have rusted out. He may have even just shaken it eventually. But, you know, obviously we feel bad. Should we ever break fish off, leave components in their mouth like that? But, yeah, Catch and release, baby. It works.
Woo! Well, that's the best one of the day for the first episode of the show. That was right on the fall, kids. She just ate it right on the fall. Started taking out live. We're gonna be gentle and put her back.
Mike, our camera guy, getting in on the action. That was a good one. That's what that bullhog's all about, man. Now you're running the bluegill color too. That's a 132nd.
Never mind, 132nd.
Yeah, going real finesse on me here.
Ooh. Barely hooked too. Fought her the whole way, barely hooked, brought her through. And, unlike the small males, did not destroy my bullhog in the process, which they love to do. As I'm sure you may have seen Tony having to readjust and slide it back down the line. So, I'm gonna go see if I can get another one.
Oh yeah, here we go. On the Swimbait. Nice little chunky guy. We made a little switcheroo, fishing a little different area where we have a little more of a shallow flat. And again, looking at these shallow flats where there's still cover, there's still vegetation, they can tend to hold some little warmer water to it, but this is an expansive flat, and to cover this whole bay with just a bullhog or a finesse presentation, it's going to take you a while. So one thing we can do is run that swim bait through there, and the way we run them is on that little bladed hook like that, so we can actually cover more water, we get a little more flash with the blade, and really effective search bait when we have these expansive big flats like this. Mike following up with me up in front with the swim bait, coming back through covering my water with that bullhog.
I was just complaining to Tony. I was only getting like one peck and done, and then this one just sucked it in. Right on that fall again.
Oh, where are you running to? Come here. That one ate it right on the fall of the initial cast. Oh, big fish. Big fish too. All right, come here, stay buttoned. Oh, she came off. I saw her, she was just barely hooked in the corner of the mouth. But that was a good 3.5. She might have even gone close to 4 there. The bite is changing, you know, it feels like it's even getting colder out. The wind is picking up. Those bites are coming super light, and that one, like I said, literally threw the bait out, hit it on that initial fall. But regardless, even with these rough conditions, that bullhog is still getting it done. And I think the other importance too, always remember that free slide and weight. And the reason we don't like to peg them is, let's just say we come across a weed clump of some kind. That weight will actually go down through the weeds and it'll pull the bullhog off the clump itself, and it'll have a nice slower fall. And that's something I really like, especially on conditions like this where it's really bad. Cold, major cold front, high winds coming through. You know, and tomorrow we're going to be 80 degrees again. Oh, boy, big belly and a small mouth for a largie, but it is a largemouth. Good old bullhog. Yeah, that one ate right in front on me. Up close, trying to get one on those rocks. Those are always the hardest hook sets sometimes when you're on shore like this and they eat right in front of you. Another little male there. You know, the situation we have here now, just to kind of give you an idea, just to my right is a very shallow flat, just about 3 feet deep tops. Break line into a secondary flat in this basin. Wind is blowing into here a little bit. So what food source there is getting pushed in. They're able to box it in close to that break line, and thus that's where those active fish are going to be at. Now we've thrown through with a spinnerbait and a swim bait. They're not aggressive enough to hit those moving baits, and that's why we're having the success with the bullhog. Bite is getting a little bit lighter. Like I said, that temp is dropping, wind is increasing a little bit. It's just rolling with the punches with Mother Nature, you know. That one sure as heck, he hit it about 3 times, and before I could even react, he's quicker than a hiccup. Before I could even react to twitch or set the hook on him, he'd spit it, and I gave it one last aggressive hop right again near shore, and I actually saw the bullhog come up, and as it just started its descent, he came up and grabbed it. All right, we'll get you back down. You go grow up for me. There we go. So another little move here, folks, and something else to look for when you're out fishing these ponds. Now, set her in. Anytime we get a lot of rain, which Lord knows we have, and we have more in the forecast as we're filming this, we have these flowage pipes that are either taking water in from other ponds, the street level, wherever, and they create these currents, and it blows out a lot of the little pond craws, the bugs, bluegills come up and feed in it. If there's shad in a particular pond, they'll come up. Whatever the forage base is, it'll be up in here. And we focus on finding some of these flowage pipes like this, and we can flip to the edges of the current and the back end of that current, and these fish will stack up in there. Just another little thing we can do to be more productive during these trying times with the weather. Not what I'm accustomed to this day, but
A good fish, good chunky fish nonetheless.
absolutely, man.
On the bullhog.
In the current flows.
Mine was just off the edge.
All right, folks, this wind is getting a lot stronger. It's almost getting to the point it's just unbearable. Our hands are wet and frozen. Still can't believe we haven't really gotten out of the 40s. Maybe we hit 50, I don't know. But great. What a day. I'll tell you what, even with the bad weather, cold front conditions, howling east wind, we're still able to catch some fish, and hopefully we were able to shine some light on what you can do to continue to catch fish if Mother Nature keeps throwing us these curveballs. Great way to start the season off. Why not? Mother Nature's going to be crazy. We wanted to come out and do some cohos downtown and do some more river stuff right off the bat, but everything got delayed with the weather. We realized we had to get back and produce some shows, so we're up and running. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we can't wait to see you again back here on Tony's Spot On Fishing.